Hello, it is January 24th, Friday. First, I'd like to welcome our new listeners to the podcast. Thanks for helping me reach 1,000 listeners, rounded up. But let's jump in. What happened this week? In mayoral news, the always entertaining Johnson administration did not fail to deliver this week. Longtime listeners of the program may remember me talking about some discrepancies in the mayor's campaign contribution reporting last week. More details came out this week, and it's starting to look like he's going to end up in some amount of trouble and likely a few $100,000 in fines for failing to properly report various things, including a $50,000 contribution from a lobbyist with a law firm that does work for the mayor, which is illegal. That's called bribing, and a handful of similar things. A few $100,000 in fines for only raising a few $100,000 is not a very good ROI, I would say. Additionally, the new president of the CPS board, who the mayor handpicked, who, side note, I don't think graduated college, which is crazy. This is the president of the school board of the fourth largest school district in the country, got in hot water this week for requesting a Ford Expedition and a personal driver to the tune of 150 or 160 grand a year. I don't actually know if that's an unreasonable request. That might be a thing that they often do, but and in fact, one of the listeners to this, new listeners to the podcast, might be in a better position to have an informed opinion about that. But amidst all of the CPS, budget woes and contract negotiation and the S&P ratings downgrade last week that I talked about, amidst all of that, it's not a very good look for the administration. So that was a fun little dramatic thing this week. As for the 2027 mayoral race update on the Susana Mendoza watch, this week saw her rip the mayor for the CPS president asking for the personal driver. It seems like every week she finds something to light into of the mayor, so that's fun, and we should expect more of that over the next year and a half. In CPS news, in the CPS CTU contract negotiation world, this week the CTU started to make more noise about potentially striking in response to the fact that an independent arbitrator will soon issue its recommendations as to the contract negotiations. By law, they come in and they do a report and they issue the recommendations, and CTU thinks the deck is stacked against them, which may actually be true because Rahm Emanuel did draft a law probably for that purpose. But once the independent arbitrator issues its recommendations, CPS and CTU have 15 days to decide on whether or not they accept or reject the findings. If CTU doesn't like what it sees, it can then strike. And so it has to wait 30 days to do so, but it can then strike. The biggest sticking factors between the two sides still seem to be how big the raises should be and the class size caps. The difference in raises doesn't actually seem that big of a gap between the two sides. So my read on all of this is that they seem not that far apart from each other. And also, I don't think the strike is that likely because despite all of the heated rhetoric and drama of the past handful of weeks, CTU probably doesn't have a lot of leverage right now, mostly because the mayor's approval rating is so dramatically low at 15 or 12% or whatever it was. And so the public would probably be primed to be more against a strike in the CTU than for it. And Stacey Gates, as well, the head of the CTU, is viewed as a very, very controversial figure for various reasons. And so I think they know that they lack leverage, and so they're not likely to strike, but who knows? We'll find out in the next handful of weeks. In national news, Trump's plan to do major ICE raids in Chicago this week leaked and caused a lot of consternation, rightly so. But it seems like the leak caused the raids not to happen, or at least not to the extent they were supposed to. There was some news about ICE going to a school in the back of the yards, which one of the listeners of this podcast might actually have more information about, but later it was then reported that may have been Secret Service actually investigating some violent threat related to the TikTok ban, so unclear. Regardless, we're probably going to see more of the chaos and probably raids and news around this in the next few weeks, unfortunately. And both the mayor and the governor have done press blitzes the last couple of days to issue statements reiterating their support of Chicago as a sanctuary city and constitutional rights of everyone involved. But we will probably see a lot more news related to this in the next couple of weeks as the Trump administration kind of retools. Lastly, just some quick hits. The Michael Madigan trial is wrapping up in the next few days. That's the former Speaker of the House, who I spoke about before, the most powerful guy in Illinois for a long time, for decades. He's now likely going down for corruption. So next few days we'll hear about that. In Lincoln Park, in the heart of Lincoln Park, a new apartment tower that was the subject of a heated fight between what are called YIMBYs and NIMBYs. YIMBYs are yes in my backyard, YIMBY versus not in my backyard people, so people that want new buildings and stuff versus people that want no development whatsoever. Big fight over this tower because it's in the heart of Lincoln Park, overlooking the park. It was a long fight, and this week it was ultimately shot down by the alderman. This is unfortunate because it will also probably embolden other aldermen to shoot down similar proposals in other wards as well for housing. The 606 trail, which is supposed to be extended eastward towards the lake over the highway from where it currently ends, was supposed to open later this year. This week it came out that it is being delayed to late 2027 at the earliest, unfortunately. But I'll end with some good news. The Bears got a head coach, and a real one, it seems like. So there is some hope for all of you suffering fans out there. And that is This Week in Chicago News. I'll see you next week.